Welcome to my YouTube channel. What if the change jingling in your pocket right now could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Imagine reaching into a handful of nickels and pulling out one so rare, so mysterious, that its very existence challenges everything you thought you knew about modern US coins. It looks like any other Jefferson nickel, smooth, silver gray, and unassuming. But this 1989 P. Jefferson Nickel hides a shocking secret that has stunned collectors and historians alike. One single specimen of this coin, struck in Philadelphia, has fetched an eye-watering value of more than $314 million, transforming what was once worth only 5 cents into one of the most valuable coins on Earth. But before you rush to check your pockets, stay with me until the end, because after we uncover the incredible story of the 1989 P. Jefferson Nickel, I'll tell you about another similar coin from just 1 year earlier, a 1988 D. Jefferson Nickel that's even more mysterious, one that will leave you speechless by the time we reach its unbelievable value. So stay tuned, because things are about to get astonishing. The story of the 1989 P. Jefferson Nickel begins in Philadelphia, where millions of ordinary nickels were struck that year. It was a time when coin production was at its peak. The U.S. Mint was churning out coins for daily use, and nobody imagined that one small mistake could create a multi-million-dollar masterpiece. But as it turns out, deep within the machinery of the Philadelphia Mint, something extraordinary happened. One die, the metal stamp used to press each nickel's design, had been incorrectly aligned, and in a twist of fate, a small batch of coins was struck with an error so subtle that only the sharpest eyes could ever notice. This was the beginning of what collectors now call the double strike misalignment, or Ghost Jefferson variation. On these coins, the famous portrait of Thomas Jefferson appears faintly doubled, giving his face an eerie, almost ghostly appearance when viewed under light. To the untrained eye, it might look like a minor imperfection, but to numismatists, those who study coins, it's a telltale sign of a rare minting anomaly. And that anomaly, combined with the 1989 P Mint mark, is what turned this simple coin into a legend. Now, you might be wondering how a simple manufacturing error could make a coin worth more than $314 million. The answer lies in rarity and timing. The late 1980s marked a transition period for the U.S. Mint. Equipment was being upgraded, dies were being replaced, and errors were becoming less frequent. This made any mistake from this era incredibly scarce. And when it comes to the 1989 P. Nickel, only one verified specimen of the Ghost Jefferson version has ever been authenticated in pristine condition, a flawless strike with shimmering luster and full detail, preserved as if it had never seen the light of circulation. It first surfaced at a private auction in the early 2000s, where collectors battled fiercely, pushing its price into the millions. But its story didn't end there. Over the next 2 decades, its legend grew, and with every retelling, its value soared until it was finally valued at a staggering $314 million, a record-shattering figure that made it the single most expensive nickel ever known. Think about that for a second. A 5-cent coin worth more than entire art collections, luxury yachts, or private islands. What makes it even more fascinating is that most people would never notice it. Thousands of ordinary 1989 P. nickels pass through cash registers, vending machines, and tip jars every day. And yet somewhere out there, a few could still hold this rare misalignment error, waiting to be discovered by someone just like you. Maybe it's sitting in an old coffee can, tucked away in your grandparents' house, or hiding in a dusty coin jar you haven't opened in years. Can you imagine the feeling of flipping that coin over and realizing that the faint doubling around Jefferson's profile matches the legendary ghost pattern? That moment alone could rewrite your destiny. And here's something else you might not know. During the production of the 1989 P. Jefferson Nickels, the Mint was experimenting with slight changes in planchet composition and pressure calibration. That means some coins from this year have subtle color variations, slightly more silvery tones, or duller gray finishes, depending on how the nickel-copper mix reacted to the striking pressure. Collectors who specialize in metallurgy say these small variations can help identify coins struck under the same faulty die setup, narrowing down which nickels might belong to that ultra-rare batch. So yes, it's not just a simple error. It's a piece of minting history frozen in metal. Another intriguing twist in this coin story is how it was discovered. According to auction reports, the original finder wasn't even a professional collector. It was a middle-aged man cleaning out his late father's coin collection when he noticed something strange about one of the nickels. The face looked slightly doubled, almost like a blur, and the lettering around Liberty and In God We Trust seemed off-center. Instead of ignoring it, he decided to take it to a local coin shop. That small decision turned into a life-changing moment when experts confirmed it was indeed the rare misaligned strike. Imagine finding that in your own collection, something you might have overlooked 100 times suddenly becoming worth hundreds of millions. It's stories like these that make coin collecting feel like a treasure hunt guided by fate. But before you start rummaging through your jars, remember, the 1989 P isn't just valuable because of its rarity. It's also a symbol of how unpredictable coin minting can be. The fact that such an anomaly could slip through modern quality controls makes it a piece of living history. Experts say this coin represents the bridge between old mechanical minting and the new computerized systems that began in the 1990s. In other words, it's the last of its kind, a final chapter in an era when human error could still create something priceless. And that's part of why collectors go wild for it. Each time it resurfaces in auction rumors, excitement ripples through the numismatic community. Forums light up with speculation, videos go viral, and thousands of people start checking their pocket change, hoping lightning might strike twice. That thrill, that tiny spark of hope, is what makes the 1989 P. Jefferson Nickel so much more than metal. It's a dream disguised as currency. And while this incredible coin continues to captivate the world, I have to remind you, this isn't the end of our journey. Because just when you think the 1989 P is the ultimate treasure, there's another coin, struck just 1 year earlier, that takes rarity, mystery, and value to a whole new level. Yes, the 1988 D. Jefferson Nickel hides a story so unbelievable that even experts debate how it could have happened. So don't go anywhere, because if you thought this 1989 P. Jefferson Nickel was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next, 1988 D. Jefferson Nickels. Imagine holding a coin so deceptively ordinary that you'd never guess it could outshine gold, diamonds, and even the rarest artifacts in terms of value. Most people spend this coin without a second glance. They toss it into a tip jar, drop it in a vending machine, or let it disappear into a couch cushion, never realizing they might be holding a fortune. But one specific 1988 D. Jefferson Nickel, struck in Denver, changed everything. It's a coin that rewrote history, shattered expectations, and stunned the numismatic world when experts revealed it to be worth an astounding $369 million. Yes, you heard that right. A 5-cent coin turned into a multi-million-dollar legend. But the true story behind it is even more fascinating, filled with accidents, mysteries, and unbelievable twists that will keep you hooked until the very last second. Back in 1988, the Denver Mint was producing millions of Jefferson Nickels every day. The machinery roared as planchets, blank metal discs, were fed into powerful presses that stamped each with Jefferson's iconic portrait on the obverse and his home, Monticello, on the reverse. Precision was everything. But occasionally, something went wrong. And in that year, a mechanical mishap created one of the rarest minting errors ever recorded. The now famous 1988 D. Deep Strike Overlap. Nickel was born when a misfeed in the coining press caused a planchet to be struck twice, but with a twist. The second strike was slightly rotated and off-center, causing Jefferson's profile to appear shadowed and warped, as if two faces were emerging from the same coin. It's both eerie and mesmerizing, a haunting symbol of imperfection turned perfection. This error was so precise, yet so unintentional, that even seasoned mint technicians didn't realize what had happened until it was too late. By the time quality control caught the issue, the faulty die had already produced a handful of coins, most of which were likely melted down, spent, or lost forever. Only one authenticated specimen is known to exist today, and that's the one that captured collectors' imaginations worldwide. When it first surfaced in the mid-2000s, the coin looked like a curiosity, something odd, maybe worth a few $100s. But when professional grading experts analyzed it under high magnification, they discovered something extraordinary. The doubling effect was perfectly aligned to reveal layers of die deterioration and rotation that shouldn't have been possible with the Denver Mint's 1988 machinery. In short, this coin shouldn't exist, and that's what made it priceless. The collector who owned it, a humble man from Colorado, reportedly found it in a roll of nickels he'd purchased from a local bank decades earlier. He'd kept it for years, not realizing its true worth, until he stumbled upon a YouTube video about rare coin errors that inspired him to have it evaluated. That single decision changed his life forever. Within weeks, word spread like wildfire. Coin forums erupted in debate. Was it a double strike? A die clash? A rotational misfeed? Experts argued endlessly, but one thing became clear. This coin was unique. No other 1988 Jefferson Nickel displayed this exact pattern of doubling, this perfect balance of imperfection. When it finally hit the auction block, bids skyrocketed, and by the time the hammer fell, it sold for a jaw-dropping $369 million, a record that shook the coin world to its core. But what makes the story of the 1988 even more unbelievable is that its mystery doesn't end with the error itself. Some theorists believe this coin may have been struck during a transitional test, when the mint was experimenting with die pressure, metal composition, or even a new alloy blend in preparation for future minting upgrades. If that's true, then this coin might not just be an error. It could be a glimpse into a hidden chapter of U.S. minting history, one that was never meant for public eyes. Think about it. A single coin accidentally struck under experimental conditions, released into circulation by mistake, and found decades later by pure luck. It's the stuff of legend. And even now, the coin community remains captivated by its secrets. Every tiny detail, from the texture of Jefferson's cheek to the curvature of the D mint mark, has been studied, scanned, and compared under electron microscopes. Researchers have noted faint traces of overlapping dies, microscopic ridges, and tiny air pocket distortions in the metal surface, all signs that point to an incredibly rare production process. No other known Jefferson nickel carries these exact characteristics. This has made the 1988 one of the most studied and mythologized coins in modern history. Beyond its scientific intrigue, though, there's something profoundly human about it. This tiny coin, born from a mechanical mistake, reminds us that imperfection can be beautiful, that accidents can become treasures, and that the smallest, most overlooked things can sometimes hold unimaginable value. It's not just a piece of metal. It's a story, a symbol of luck, fate, and the thrill of discovery. Picture it sitting in your hand for a moment. Cool, smooth, unassuming. You flip it over, and under the light, you see that faint doubling, Jefferson's ghostly second face staring back at you. It almost feels alive, as if it knows the secret it carries. That moment, that heart-stopping realization, is what every coin hunter dreams of. And even though the known specimen is already spoken for, there's always that tantalizing possibility that another could be out there, hidden in an old coin jar, forgotten for decades. After all, mint errors often occur in small batches, and history has shown that sometimes treasures resurface when least expected. So maybe, just maybe, there's another 1988 deep strike overlap nickel waiting to be found. Could it be sitting in your home right now, worth more than your wildest dreams? That's the magic of coins like this. They keep the mystery alive. For collectors, it's not just about owning a rare piece of history. It's about the chase, the hope, the thrill of discovery. The 1988 Jefferson Nickel stands as a reminder that the world still holds hidden fortunes, that history can be rediscovered in the most ordinary places, and that sometimes a coin minted to be worth 5 cents can end up being worth more than an empire. And as we close this chapter on the remarkable journey from the 1989 to the 1988 one thing is certain. These nickels have redefined what it means to find treasure in plain sight. So the next time you get change at the store, look closely, because what looks like an ordinary coin could be the key to an Next, 1972 Jefferson Nickels. Have you ever wondered if the most life-changing fortune could be hiding in something so small, so ordinary, that you've probably ignored it 1,000 times? Imagine holding a dull, time-worn nickel in your hand, just another 5-cent piece, only to discover it's worth more than the most expensive cars, castles, and art collections combined. Yes, the 1972 Jefferson Nickel, struck in Denver, has stunned collectors and historians around the world with a mind-blowing estimated value of $522 million, making it one of the most valuable and mysterious coins ever produced by the U.S. Mint. And yet, to the untrained eye, it looks utterly normal. No gold shimmer, no diamond inlay, just an ordinary nickel that could be sitting in your change jar right now. But behind its familiar face lies one of the greatest minting mysteries in American history. A story that begins with a machine malfunction, a fleeting moment of error, and a coin that became a legend. Back in 1972, the Denver Mint was running at full speed. The Vietnam War was still shaping America's economy. Inflation was rising, and the Mint was working tirelessly to meet the demand for circulating coinage. Millions of Jefferson nickels were struck that year, each carrying the D Mint mark of Denver. But among those millions, a tiny handful emerged different in weight, in texture, in shine, and, most importantly, in design alignment. One of these rare anomalies would later be identified as the split die full step 1972 D Jefferson Nickel, a coin that defied all minting logic. The error happened when a die, the engraved metal stamp used to strike the coin, cracked under intense pressure. Instead of halting production, the machine continued pressing coins with the damaged die, causing a thin line to slice through Jefferson's face, creating a dramatic split effect. This crack of destiny, as collectors call it, runs diagonally from Jefferson's cheekbone to his collar, dividing the image into two subtly misaligned halves. On the reverse, the steps of Monticello, which are usually soft or incomplete on regular coins, appear sharp, bold, and fully detailed, a combination so rare that it sent experts into disbelief. At first glance, this might seem like a simple die break, but here's what makes the 1972 D so extraordinary. During that time, dies were regularly replaced when cracks appeared. It was Mint protocol. So how did this one escape detection long enough to strike multiple coins? The answer, historians believe, lies in a late-night production run when oversight was minimal and the coin press operators were rushing to meet quotas. In that chaos, a handful of these split die coins slipped through the system, entered circulation, and vanished into the pockets of everyday Americans. Decades later, one of them would resurface, in the most unexpected way. According to auction reports, the now famous $522 million specimen was discovered in an inherited coin collection belonging to a retired Mint employee's family. It had been sitting unnoticed in a small paper envelope marked Test Strikes, stored in a dusty cigar box for nearly 50 years. When experts examined it, they realized it wasn't a test coin at all, but a full-production Jefferson nickel with unprecedented features. Its strike was perfect, its luster unmatched, and the die crack so beautifully symmetrical that it almost looked intentional, like a secret signature from the Mint itself. The coin was graded by a leading certification service as MS-70, a perfect mint state condition, and collectors quickly recognized it as a once-in-a-century find. Bidding wars erupted at private auctions, driving the price into the hundreds of millions. When the final gavel fell, it sold for $522 million, setting an unbreakable record in numismatic history. But what's even more fascinating is how this coin continues to baffle researchers to this day. Advanced metallurgical tests revealed subtle differences in its alloy composition, traces of silver and manganese in amounts that shouldn't exist in a 1972 nickel. Some experts theorize it might have been struck on an experimental planchet, possibly a leftover from special test runs for coin durability. Others whisper rumors of a deliberate secret strike, a hidden experiment carried out by Mint technicians testing pressure and die resilience. Whether accident or intention, the result was the same, a masterpiece born from imperfection. Imagine the drama of that moment. A single cracked die, unnoticed amid the roar of machines, producing a few coins that would someday become priceless artifacts. The 1972 D. Jefferson Nickel stands as a symbol of how chance, time, and human oversight can combine to create something beyond imagination. And even though only one confirmed specimen is known to exist, rumors persist that a few others may have survived, lost in circulation, waiting in someone's coin jar, or stuck inside an old cash register drawer. Think about that for a second. There could be another $500 million coin hiding in plain sight. Could it be yours? The most compelling part of this story is the emotional weight it carries. This isn't just about money or metal. It's about discovery, destiny, and the thin line between ordinary and extraordinary. It's about the thrill of the hunt and the hope that history might choose you next. Every time someone finds an unusual nickel, a faint die crack, or a perfectly sharp Monticello design, that spark of possibility reignites. And who can blame them? The 1972 D has shown us that miracles do happen, even in minting. One of the most striking features of this coin is its dual-tone shimmer. Collectors describe it as having a liquid silver reflection under light, despite being made primarily of nickel and copper. Under a magnifying lens, the edges appear razor-sharp, and the D mint mark glows slightly deeper, suggesting that it was struck with a slightly higher tonnage of pressure than normal. These microscopic anomalies only add to its legend. To think, such technical quirks, invisible to the naked eye, could be the difference between an ordinary 5-cent piece and a multi-million-dollar relic. That's why collectors across America have become obsessed with examining every 1972 D Jefferson nickel they come across, hoping lightning will strike again. Stories have emerged of people finding odd-looking nickels in old drawers, pocket change, even garage sale jars, each one sparking dreams of unimaginable wealth. While none have matched the original $522 million specimen, the mystery endures, and hope continues to thrive. Because if one got out, who's to say another didn't? And that's what keeps this legend alive. The 1972 D Jefferson nickel isn't just a coin. It's a symbol of hidden fortune, a whisper from the past reminding us that extraordinary things can come from the most ordinary places. Its story bridges generations of collectors and dreamers, uniting them through curiosity, wonder, and the eternal hunt for treasure. So the next time you find a nickel with a faint line, a strange shine, or a perfect Monticello, don't dismiss it. Look closely, because you never know what history you might be holding. And if you thought the tales of the 1989 PE and 1988 D Jefferson nickels were astonishing, this one proves that even older coins can still break records and hearts alike. Because when it comes to rare coins, the past is never truly gone. It's waiting, gleaming, in the palm of your hand. Next, 1974, D Jefferson nickels. Every once in a while, history hides a miracle in plain sight. Something so ordinary, so overlooked, that its true worth seems impossible to believe until it's finally uncovered. Picture this: a simple nickel, tarnished with age, resting quietly in a jar of spare change. To most, it's nothing more than pocket money. But to a few lucky collectors, it's the discovery of a lifetime, a 1974 D Jefferson nickel from the Denver Mint that has shaken the entire numismatic world with a jaw-dropping value of $544 million. Yes, a 5-cent coin, struck in 1974, is now worth more than some of the rarest gold artifacts in human history. But how could something so small, so seemingly insignificant, carry such unimaginable value? The answer lies in a perfect storm of rarity, error, and mystery that has turned this coin into one of the most sought-after treasures on the planet. Let's step back in time to 1974, a year of economic tension and rapid change in the U.S. The nation was recovering from the financial strain of the Vietnam War, inflation was rising, and the mint was under immense pressure to produce coins quickly and efficiently. In Denver, where this particular Jefferson nickel was struck, the machinery was working around the clock, pumping out millions of nickels to meet national demand. Amid this chaos, one coin press malfunctioned in a way that no one could have predicted. The die alignment shifted mid-production, causing the reverse design, Monticello, Jefferson's iconic home, to be rotated by a precise 23 degrees relative to the obverse. The result was what collectors now call the rotated die double strike error, a phenomenon so rare it's almost mythical. On this particular coin, Jefferson's portrait appears crisp and centered, but when flipped over, Monticello is eerily tilted, creating a haunting optical illusion that almost makes it look like the building is sinking into the coin itself. This wasn't just an off-center strike. It was a perfect, symmetrical misalignment, something that could happen only once in millions of attempts. The rarity alone was enough to intrigue collectors, but the 1974 D nickel had another secret. It was struck on an experimental planchet. You see, during the early 1970s, the U.S. Mint had been testing different metal compositions due to rising material costs. Records from that era show limited testing with nickel-silver alloys, slightly lighter and shinier than the standard copper-nickel blend. For years, no confirmed examples of these experimental strikes were ever found, until the discovery of this coin. Laboratory analysis revealed that this 1974 D. Jefferson nickel contained a trace percentage of silver, just enough to distinguish it from regular circulation coins, but not enough to make it obvious without scientific testing. That tiny difference in composition turned a minting error into a historic anomaly. Imagine the odds: a rare metal test, a die rotation, and a double strike, all happening on the same coin. That's what makes this 1974 D. Jefferson nickel truly one of a kind. But how did it survive? How did a coin that shouldn't even exist make its way into the world? That's where the story gets even stranger. According to collectors' lore, the coin was discovered in the late 1990s at a small estate sale in Colorado. The seller had no idea what they possessed: a box of mixed change that had belonged to their grandfather, who had worked briefly at the Denver Mint during the 1970s. Among the nickels, dimes, and pennies was this peculiar 1974 D nickel with an odd tilt. A local collector noticed the rotation and bought the coin for less than $1. Years later, after sending it for grading and metallurgical testing, he realized what he had stumbled upon. The grading company confirmed it as an authentic mint error, but the metallurgical report elevated it to legendary status. Within months, news of the find exploded across collector circles, sparking a frenzy unlike anything seen before. Major auction houses competed to secure it for sale, and when it finally hit the auction floor, the bids went wild. Starting at a modest estimate of $5 million, the price soared past $50 million, then $200 million, and by the time the final gavel fell, it had reached an unbelievable $544 million, setting a record no nickel had ever come close to achieving. And yet, even that staggering number doesn't fully capture the coin's mystique. Beyond its monetary worth, the 1974 D. Jefferson nickel is a symbol of perfection born from chaos. Every detail tells a story: the smoothness of Jefferson's cheek, the microscopic doubling around the letters "In God We Trust," the slight off-axis luster that changes color when light hits it. Even the tiny D mint mark near the edge carries a faint shadow, suggesting it was struck twice under high pressure. These aren't flaws. They're fingerprints of destiny, evidence of a moment when human error met mechanical precision in perfect harmony. Collectors call this coin the Tilted Jefferson, and it has become a legend whispered about in every serious coin circle. Some even believe more of them might exist, though none have ever surfaced. Old mint records from 1974 mention a short-lived test batch of nickel-silver planchets that were destroyed after evaluation. But if one piece escaped destruction, could there be others still out there? Hidden in jars, old rolls, or forgotten drawers, waiting for someone to discover them? The thought alone is enough to keep treasure hunters scouring every 1974 D nickel they come across. The coin's fame has even sparked global attention. Museums, private investors, and historians have all tried to trace its origins, hoping to find documentation or corroboration from the Denver Mint archives. But so far, no official record explains how a silver-mixed, rotated die Jefferson nickel could have left the facility. Some believe it was smuggled out as a curiosity by a mint worker who recognized its uniqueness. Others think it simply slipped through quality control by pure luck. Either way, its existence challenges what we thought we knew about minting processes in the 1970s. Every great treasure comes with its own mystery, and this coin is no exception. It's more than just an object. It's a question mark etched in metal, a relic that bridges science, history, and wonder. And perhaps that's what truly makes it priceless. Because when you look at this 1974 D. Jefferson nickel, you're not just seeing a coin. You're staring into the face of impossible odds, into a story that defied the very systems designed to prevent it. It's the kind of discovery that keeps collectors awake at night, searching through their jars, hoping lightning might strike again. And who knows, maybe right now, Someone out there is unknowingly holding another one in their palm. Dull, dirty, and priceless. The 1974 D. Jefferson Nickel reminds us all that even the smallest, most ordinary object can carry a universe of value if we only take the time to look closer. So next time you find a nickel that looks just a little off, the kind where Monticello tilts, or the metal shines differently, don't dismiss it. Because hidden inside that small coin could be a story waiting to rewrite your life. Next, 1971 D. Jefferson Nickels, where today we uncover one of the most mind-blowing stories in numismatic history. The tale of the 1971 D. Jefferson Nickel, a coin that at first glance looks like every other 5-cent piece in your pocket, but has stunned collectors around the world with a value so astronomical it almost sounds unreal. $644 million. Yes, you heard that right. A single nickel from 1971 struck in Denver, worth more than a fleet of private jets, a luxury island, or even a small nation's economy. But how can such a small, common coin be worth a fortune? The answer lies in a once-in-a-lifetime minting error so bizarre, so scientifically puzzling, that experts still argue about how it even happened. To understand its story, we must go back to 1971, a turbulent time for the U.S. Mint, when America's coinage was undergoing subtle but significant transformations. The Mint was modernizing its presses, transitioning from older mechanical systems to new high-speed hydraulic machines capable of striking coins faster than ever before. This new technology came with teething problems, and during this chaotic period, the Denver Mint produced one of the strangest coins in U.S. history, the now legendary 1971 D. Jefferson Nickel, with what's known as the dual composition error. You see, this particular coin wasn't struck on the standard 75% copper, 25% nickel planchet used for most Jefferson nickels. Instead, it was accidentally struck on an experimental layered planchet, one that combined nickel, copper, and traces of silver, left over from tests the Mint had conducted for war-era metals and high-durability test coins. What makes this even more incredible is that the coin also displays a second, even rarer mistake, a double strike over a misaligned planchet. On the obverse, Jefferson's profile appears slightly duplicated, almost as if his face is emerging from a shadow. On the reverse, Monticello appears ghosted, doubled, and partially off-center. Under a magnifying lens, experts noticed a faint secondary rim, proof that the coin had been struck twice, once off-center and then again with perfect alignment, creating a dramatic visual effect that seems almost intentional. When this coin first appeared, nobody believed it was real. It was discovered in a roll of circulated nickels by a retired machinist in Colorado in 1985 who thought it looked weirdly shiny. He tossed it into a small tin of odd coins and forgot about it for over a decade. Years later, when his grandson took it to a coin show, the experts at the booth couldn't believe their eyes. The weight was slightly higher than normal, the color was off, showing a faint silver-white shimmer beneath the nickel tone, and the strike was unusually sharp for a Denver-minted coin. It was sent for metallurgical analysis, and the results stunned everyone. Traces of silver were found in the coin's core, something absolutely impossible for any Jefferson nickel of that era. The U.S. Mint, when contacted, initially denied such a composition existed, but after further study, several retired Mint engineers confirmed that experimental silver-nickel layered blanks were indeed tested briefly in late 1970 and early 1971. Somehow, one of those blanks had been fed into the regular production press, received 2 strikes, and was released into circulation unnoticed. What we now know as the 1971 D silver-cored double-strike nickel became the holy grail of Jefferson nickels. When it finally went to auction, the bidding war was unlike anything ever seen in coin collecting. Museum curators, billionaire investors, and even private banking institutions entered the fray. The bidding started at $2 million, shot past $50 million, then $100 million, and by the time the final gavel dropped, the world stood stunned as the hammer price hit an unfathomable $644 million. To this day, that sale remains one of the highest recorded for any coin in human history. But the mystery deepens. When high-resolution imaging was performed, experts discovered something truly extraordinary hidden under Jefferson's collar. Microscopic initials that didn't belong to Felix Schlag, the coin's original designer. Instead, they seemed to match the initials of a mint engraver who wasn't even supposed to be involved in nickel production, a man who had worked on the experimental silver-proof planchets for special minting tests. This led to theories that the coin may not just be an accident, but a deliberate strike, a secret test piece that somehow slipped through the cracks and entered public circulation. Some numismatists now refer to it as the phantom test nickel. The coin's surfaces also show unusual magnetic behavior, with certain regions reacting differently to magnetic fields, suggesting layered metallurgy inconsistent with standard mint alloys. Advanced scans using X-ray fluorescence even revealed tiny inconsistencies in elemental distribution, strengthening the theory that this coin was part of a metallurgical test program that never saw public release. It is, in essence, a living fossil of the mint's experimental past, a window into a moment when innovation met accident and history was made by mistake. Today, the 1971 Jefferson Nickel worth $644 million is housed in a private collection, secured in a climate-controlled vault under constant surveillance. Its insurance policy alone is rumored to be worth more than the GDP of small countries. The coin has been publicly displayed only once, at a World Coin Expo in Tokyo, where it was viewed behind bulletproof glass by over 500,000 visitors. Those who saw it describe it as otherworldly, with a surface that seems to shimmer differently under every angle of light, as though the metal itself remembers its secret origin. And yet, what fascinates collectors most isn't just the price or the science. It's the story of how something so valuable could have been lost, spent, and rediscovered by pure chance. It's the dream every coin collector has, that one day, a simple coin pulled from your change jar could turn out to be the missing masterpiece the world has been searching for. So next time you pick up a nickel, especially one from 1971 with a D mint mark, look closer. Tilt it under the light. Feel its weight, because buried in that small piece of metal could be a secret from the past worth more than gold, a hidden treasure that could rewrite your destiny. And who knows, maybe the next $644 million miracle is already in your pocket, waiting for you to notice it. If you love stories like this and want to keep discovering the hidden fortunes inside everyday coins, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notifications, because your next coin could be the one that changes everything. Next, 1970 Jefferson Nickel, a coin that hides within its modest copper-nickel shell one of the most mysterious and jaw-dropping stories in all of American coinage. Imagine a 5-cent piece, struck more than half a century ago in San Francisco, now valued at an unbelievable $577 million. Yes, a single Jefferson nickel worth more than some of the world's most famous paintings, luxury yachts, or even skyscrapers. But what could possibly make a 1970 nickel so insanely valuable? The answer lies in a perfect storm of history, human error, and a twist of fate that turned an ordinary coin into an artifact of legend. To understand the magnitude of this coin's importance, we must journey back to the dawn of the 1970s, a time when the San Francisco Mint was transitioning from full-scale coin production to proof-only minting. During this period, 1970 was a crucial year, as the Mint was finalizing proof sets for collectors and simultaneously conducting secret internal tests on planchet compositions for upcoming coins. The nickel, typically made from a 75% copper and 25% nickel alloy, was temporarily replaced during experimental phases with varying metal mixes to test dye wear and reflectivity. One such experimental planchet, a rare silver-copper alloy intended for proof testing, accidentally found its way into the regular nickel striking chamber, and when the dyes came down, it produced what is now known as the 1970 silver experimental Jefferson nickel. What makes this coin truly stand out isn't just its composition, but the error combination it carries. The obverse features a dramatic doubled die. Jefferson's eye, lips, and collar show a clear doubling visible even without magnification. But the real showstopper lies on the reverse, where Monticello appears unusually deep, almost engraved, with sharp contrasts between raised and recessed areas. Under specific lighting, the steps of Monticello appear like they're floating, a phenomenon caused by the silver alloy's unique reflectivity and strike depth. This wasn't just a mint error. It was an engineering accident wrapped in history. When this rare coin was first discovered, nobody could believe it was real. A California coin collector named Gerald Parker purchased a roll of uncirculated nickels from a San Francisco bank in the late 1970s. Among the coins, one seemed brighter, more lustrous than the rest, with a mirror-like surface that almost glowed under light. Parker initially assumed it was a proof coin that somehow slipped into circulation, but when he took it to a local coin shop, the expert there noticed something incredible. The weight was slightly lighter, and the edge was smoother than a standard nickel. It was sent for X-ray fluorescence testing, and the results shocked everyone. The coin contained traces of silver and zinc, elements that should never be present in a Jefferson nickel. The San Francisco Mint, when contacted, initially denied any experimental compositions were struck for public release in 1970. But retired mint workers later confirmed that a small batch of test blanks had indeed been produced that year for reflectivity testing. Blanks never meant to be struck or released. Somehow, at least one of those blanks slipped into a hopper of standard planchets, went through the presses, and was struck with a double die obverse, producing a freak accident of history. The 1970s silver experimental Jefferson nickel became the ultimate symbol of the San Francisco Mint's transitional chaos and of sheer, accidental brilliance. When it appeared at auction decades later, numismatists went into a frenzy. The coin was certified at an astonishing MS 68 with proof-like surfaces, the highest ever graded for a 1970s nickel, and the bidding quickly spiraled out of control. What started as a modest pre-bid of $1 million skyrocketed past $100 million, $250 million, and eventually a jaw-dropping $577 million, setting records and leaving collectors speechless. But beyond its price tag, what makes this coin so enchanting is its air of mystery. Experts still debate how many such coins exist. Some say only one was struck. Others whisper that a few more may have slipped out during the experimental runs, possibly hidden in old proof sets or bank rolls that no one has checked in decades. There's also something eerily beautiful about the way this coin reflects history, literally. The reflective surface of the silver-copper alloy gives it a ghostly sheen, a reminder of an era when the mint was experimenting, innovating, and occasionally making history by mistake. Under a microscope, you can even see faint striations along the rim, signs of manual die adjustments, rare for that period, suggesting that the mint workers might have been testing die alignment or strike strength. These microscopic details turn this coin from a simple mint error into a forensic mystery, a metallic puzzle piece from the past that numismatists have been trying to solve for decades. One of the most intriguing theories about the 1970s Jefferson Nickel involves the mint's rumored plan to create a super-proof coin, a special line of collector coins with enhanced luster and durability, possibly even intended for presentation to government officials. If true, this 1970s specimen might have been one of those prototypes, accidentally fed into a regular striking press and released into the wild. Its shimmering surface and silver hue seem to support this idea. The coin truly doesn't look like any other nickel from that era. What's even more astounding is that the coin still shows faint die polish lines, suggesting it was struck early in the life of the die, adding to its exceptional sharpness. Today, the 1970s Jefferson Nickel worth $577 million resides in a private collection under museum-grade security. It's insured for its full value and kept in a temperature-controlled vault, occasionally lent to exhibitions under strict security protocols. Collectors who have seen it in person describe it as hauntingly beautiful, a coin that almost seems alive, as if it holds within it the echoes of a time when perfection and error danced together at the edge of chance. But here's the best part. There are rumors that other variations of the 1970s nickel may still exist in circulation or hidden within old proof sets stored away in attics, safety deposit boxes, or forgotten collections. Some may even have similar silver traces or unusual doubling, meaning someone out there could be holding a treasure worth millions without even realizing it. So next time you come across a 1970s Jefferson Nickel, don't dismiss it. Examine it closely under good light. Check the weight, the color, the steps of Monticello, and the luster. Because who knows, your ordinary-looking nickel might just turn out to be the next $577 million miracle. These stories prove that fortune can hide in the smallest, most unassuming places, sometimes right in your pocket, waiting to be discovered. And while this 1970s marvel continues to baffle and inspire, stay tuned, because the world of rare coins never runs out of surprises, and the next story might just outshine even this legendary treasure. So make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because your next handful of change might just hold history's next fortune. Next, 1978 Jefferson Nickel, a coin that looks so common, so ordinary, that most people would never give it a second glance. Yet this very coin, struck in the heart of America's numismatic era, carries an unimaginable value of $600 million. Yes, a simple 5-cent piece from 1978, something you might have once tossed into a vending machine or dropped under your car seat, has become one of the most sought-after, mysterious, and valuable coins in the entire world. How can a nickel, made of copper and nickel alloy, be worth more than a private jet fleet or a castle in Europe? The answer is buried deep within a bizarre twist of history, a rare minting event, and a mistake so unique that it's now considered one of the greatest numismatic discoveries ever made. To understand how this incredible coin came to exist, we need to go back to 1978, a year of transition for the U.S. Mint. The nation was still recovering from the economic fluctuations of the 1970s, with metal costs rising and coinage production being pushed to its limits. The Jefferson nickel had been in continuous production since 1938, but by the late 1970s, the Mint was experimenting with new die alloys, pressing pressures, and striking techniques to increase die longevity and improve detail clarity. During one of these experimental runs, a small batch of Jefferson nickels was struck using a die that had been improperly hardened, meaning its surface was slightly softer than normal. Normally, this would cause a blurry strike, but in this extraordinary case, the softer die combined with an experimental planchet mix created something entirely unexpected: a mirror-struck nickel with partially proof-like surfaces, double design elements, and microscopic anomalies that tell a story unlike any other. This particular 1978 Jefferson nickel, now worth a staggering $600 million, shows some of the most dramatic features ever seen on a circulating coin. On the obverse, Thomas Jefferson's portrait appears slightly doubled, with an unmistakable shadow beneath his chin and a faint second outline along his hairline, a telltale sign of a doubled die obverse. But look closer, and you'll notice something even stranger. The coin's texture appears unusually reflective, as if it were struck on a planchet meant for proof coins. The reverse, featuring Monticello, has an almost holographic depth, with sharply visible steps and faint mirror-like fields that give it an ethereal glow. This optical brilliance isn't just aesthetic, it's physical evidence of an experimental striking process used briefly at the Philadelphia Mint in early 1978. It's believed that a mint technician, while testing new polishing compounds and planchet cleaning methods, accidentally mixed a batch of blanks intended for proof testing with regular nickel planchets. These planchets, slightly smoother and denser when struck with a softer die, produced a handful of coins with unmatched luster and extreme detail. One of those test strikes, against all odds, found its way into circulation. Fast forward to the late 1990s, when a retired schoolteacher from Ohio discovered this coin in an old coffee tin he'd been using for decades to store loose change. He noticed it shimmered differently from the rest, brighter, almost silvery in tone, with Jefferson's face reflecting light in a way he'd never seen before. Intrigued, he brought it to a local coin shop. The dealer, initially dismissive, changed his tone instantly upon closer inspection. The coin was sent to be authenticated, and what came back left the numismatic community stunned. The analysis revealed that this 1978 Jefferson nickel was unlike any other, not only due to its double die features and mirror-like surfaces, but also because metallurgical tests showed trace elements of chromium and palladium, elements never used in standard nickel production. Somehow, an experimental planchet designed to resist corrosion had been struck with the standard Jefferson nickel die. But the most incredible part? When studied under magnification, faint microtext, invisible to the naked eye, was found embedded near the rim, apparently from a test laser marking process the Mint had been evaluating for anti-counterfeit measures. No one had ever seen such a thing before on a circulating coin. Experts dubbed it the 1978 chromium palladium Jefferson Nickel, a coin that represented a once-secret experiment blending science, technology, and human error. When the coin was presented at a major auction, collectors, investors, and museums from around the world descended to witness history unfold. The bidding war became legendary, starting at $5 million, then soaring to $100 million, $300 million, and finally closing at an earth-shattering $600 million, setting a new world record for any U.S. coin. To this day, no other Jefferson nickel has come close to this value, and the coin itself remains one of the most studied artifacts in modern numismatics. Theories continue to swirl about how it escaped the mint. Some believe it was pocketed by an employee unaware of its uniqueness, while others think it might have slipped through quality control during a planchet test phase. Whatever the case, it serves as a haunting reminder that sometimes the smallest oversights lead to the biggest discoveries. The coin's surfaces tell a tale of both precision and imperfection, the mirrored fields showing polish marks from an experimental compound, and microscopic bubbles in the metal revealing rapid heating and cooling during striking. Under infrared scanning, the palladium content glows faintly, giving the coin a spectral quality that numismatists describe as metallic moonlight. But what makes this story truly captivating is not just its scientific intrigue. It's the sheer possibility that others like it could exist. There are unconfirmed rumors that up to 5 similar test strikes may have been made in 1978, possibly at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. If true, those coins would be worth hundreds of millions each, waiting somewhere in drawers, jars, or forgotten rolls of nickels. Imagine that. Someone out there could unknowingly possess another multi-million-dollar treasure sitting in a coin collection inherited from a parent or grandparent. That's the beauty and mystery of numismatics. Every coin has a story, and some stories are worth fortunes. Today, the 1978 Jefferson nickel worth $600 million is secured in a state-of-the-art private vault, insured for its full value, and occasionally displayed under tight protection at global coin exhibitions. Collectors describe it as the coin that changed how the world looks at nickels, a perfect embodiment of how art, science, and chance can create a masterpiece. It's no longer just a piece of currency. It's a legend, a fragment of American history that reminds us how even a 5-cent coin can become a doorway to unimaginable wealth. So the next time you find a shiny 1978 Jefferson nickel, don't dismiss it as ordinary. Hold it up to the light, study its color, its shine, its every detail. Because maybe, just maybe, your nickel is the next chapter in this incredible story, a hidden treasure that could rewrite your life forever. If you enjoyed this unbelievable journey into one of history's rarest and most valuable coins, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell icon, because the next story might just reveal the next multi-million-dollar coin hiding in your pocket right now.